Welcome back, Defenders. Everyone's still talking about that meeting at the White House on Friday. Trump and Zelensky clashed in an Oval Office shouting match. And this headline is not correct. J.D. Vance shouted. Donald Trump shouted a lot. But President Zelensky never raised his voice. You can't show me a clip of Zelensky shouting back at either Trump or Vance. The only thing that Zelensky did was affirm his position that the Russians are liars. The Russians are war criminals. You can't trust the Russians, and you shouldn't be doing business with the Russians. And I want to remind everyone, what was the point of this trip? Why did President Zelensky go to Washington, D.C. to meet with Donald Trump? And it was to sign a minerals deal. The United States was not announcing a new security assistance package. The United States was not announcing security guarantees for Ukraine if there would be a ceasefire. The United States was announcing nothing for Ukraine. And Donald Trump had just spent the previous week attacking Zelensky and attacking Ukraine. He called Zelensky a dictator, and he said that every city in Ukraine has been destroyed, their military is failing, the front lines are crumbling, and they're going to lose this war soon. So give me $500 billion. Sign this mineral deal to benefit and pay back and enrich the United States. That was the purpose of the meeting. And Zelensky didn't sign the deal. Trump and the United States got nothing from this. Now I'm going to argue Ukraine lost a lot if military aid that has already been allocated and promised is cut off. But the Trump administration is now demanding that President Zelensky resign or be removed from office. Zelensky says he will not step down after White House disputes, saying he still respects Trump. Zelensky is critical of the Russians, but he's not been disrespectful to Trump or Vice President J.D. Vance. He just was defending himself, defending his country, and defending his people from Russian disinformation coming from the Vice President's mouth. And I can show you how Ukraine and President Zelensky respects America. On the day that Zelensky was meeting with Trump in the White House, in Kyiv they were having a funeral. They were having a funeral for Ethan Hurtwet, a U.S. citizen and a former Marine who went to Ukraine to volunteer to fight for Ukraine. He was killed by the Russians on the front lines near the city of Avdiivka. And I want to share with you 26 seconds of his funeral procession being given full honors by the state of Ukraine for his heroism and bravery.
Ukraine.
This is how Ukrainians show their respect and appreciation for the United States. This is an American flag flying proudly over Kyiv. But I don't know for how much longer, guys. After Zelensky was kicked out of the White House, he immediately went to Fox News and gave an interview to Bret Baier. And I want to play for you this clip. It's 1 minute and 20 seconds of Zelensky explaining what happened. And explaining, of course, he still appreciates and respects the United States, but you can't trust the Russians. You shouldn't be doing business with the Russians.
That's why I'm here. And we have tough situation. To understand it is to be in Ukraine. You saw it, Brett. You was once. Thank you again. So I think that's very important to understand what's going on. But I respect my soldiers and our people, our civilians who work and support our warriors. I can't say just stop. Nobody will stop because everybody afraid that Putin will come back tomorrow. We want just and lasting peace. It's true. We want security guarantees. We raise this topic about NATO the quickest way, but not all the countries are on this side. I said, okay, if not NATO, nobody is pushing. If not NATO, let's build NATO in Ukraine. That's my position. Europeans are ready. or to have contingents on our territory, boots on the ground. United States thinks maybe to help, maybe USA backstop, have to be just to guarantee that they are with Europeans. Look at Europe, it's strong, it became stronger, but they also want to have allies like the United States. That's what I said.
President Zelensky respects America and he respects President Trump, but he also respects his people. And his people are not going to stop fighting if they don't think there's real security guarantees that this war just won't start again. In 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, whenever. There needs to be a lasting peace based on strength, based on security guarantees. And when you ask Donald Trump, what's the plan? What if Russia breaks the ceasefire? Trump doesn't take it serious. He doesn't care. This probably was one of the worst moments of the entire interview. I'm sure you've seen part of the interview already, but we have to rewatch this. When a journalist asked Trump directly, what would happen if Ukraine agreed to a ceasefire and then Russia violated it?
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me.
So he doesn't take it serious. He doesn't give a truthful answer to the American people or even the Ukrainian delegation. I'm sure behind closed doors, they've had this conversation with Trump, and he doesn't have an answer. He doesn't have an explanation. He doesn't care. So this is the problem we have as Americans, because Donald Trump has no experience negotiating a ceasefire or a peace deal. And none of the people that Trump is listening to or working with also have diplomatic experience with negotiations related to ceasefires or armistices or whatever. So the Paris Peace Accords, the peace deal to get North Vietnam and South Vietnam to stop fighting a war. The peace talks started in 1968, and they weren't signed until 1973. This was 5 years of continuous negotiations before a peace deal was signed. We're not going to talk about if it was good or bad, but 5 years of negotiations. And right now, we're only 5 weeks into the Trump presidency, and Donald Trump has already given up. He first went to the Russians and said, "Do you want to stop this war?" The Russians told him no. So now he's going to Ukraine saying, "You have to stop this war, because I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. 5 weeks into my administration, you people dying and fighting is annoying me." So Trump has actually been pretty restrained this weekend. He's at Mar-a-Lago golfing, and he didn't tweet about Zelensky or Ukraine at all on Saturday. He instead talked about illegal migrants, Major League Baseball, and flattering news articles about himself. Somebody who works for Trump then put out a statement today, Sunday. This is one of his aides, Michael McCune. And this isn't Trump speaking. This is probably J.D. Vance, or I don't know who wrote this statement. This isn't what Donald Trump actually believes. But it says Trump played both sides like a master chess player. In the end, Zelensky will have no choice but to concede, because without U.S. support, Ukraine cannot win a prolonged war against Russia. Says who? And once U.S. companies have mining operations in Ukraine, Putin will be unable to attack without triggering massive international consequences. This is all nonsense, guys. I'm not even going to read it. What's happened is, President Trump likely sees little value in leveraging pressure against Putin, and instead views forcing Ukraine into capitulation as the easiest path for him and his goals. He's shifting all blame for this war to Zelensky, portraying him as an obstacle to peace to just cover up for his own disaster. Isn't Trump supposed to be a master negotiator? Isn't he supposed to be able to work with difficult people to get them to the compromise, the art of the deal? And he's not. Trump is a bully. All he does is bully people. And if bullying doesn't work, he then ignores them. So this was the divide on day one. When Trump was sworn into office on January 20th, there were two groups of people. Down here we have the professionals, the people who care about America, the Treasury Secretary, the National Security Advisor, Secretary of State, and then the Special Envoy Keith Kellogg. All of these people understand who the Russians are. You can't work with them, you can't trust them, they're war criminals, it's a mafia state. Don't do business with them. And the plan, they were talking about it in the first 2 weeks. Increase sanctions on Russia and provide more military aid to Ukraine, and we could get Russia to stop this war in a couple months. Easy. But that's not what the Putinists want. That's what I'm calling these people now in the US government. They're Putinists. J.D. Vance, Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. They got to Trump. They said if you go the way of the professionals, then you can't do business with the Russians going forward. They're going to hate you. So what if we just lift all sanctions on Russia and we stop providing all military aid and cooperation to Ukraine and we just let the Ukrainians die? Just let them die. That's what these Putinists want Trump to do, and Trump is going down that path right now. He's ignoring the professional advice. And on the day that Zelensky met with Trump in the White House, the Russians bombed another hospital. This was a hospital in Kharkiv. The Russians have bombed every hospital. They're deliberately targeting hospitals and schools, thermal power plants, grocery stores, home repair stores. They're war criminals. And the Putinists in our government, they don't care. They're only thinking about wealth and power for themselves. They're trying to pervert the US government into some kind of autocracy in which Donald Trump is the figurehead. But Donald Trump doesn't really have his own policy ideas. He just wants to take credit for what other people do and then blame his enemies anytime something goes wrong. And we're not going to get any help from the people in the administration. After this disaster in the White House, General Keith Kellogg put out this statement, quoting Secretary of State Marco Rubio's statement. "It was an honor to be with the President and Vice President and you in the Oval Office today during the bilateral with President Zelensky. As the President has always done, he stood for America. America first. The world saw it today in real time." So these people are all cowards. I actually think over the next year, year and a half, they'll all either resign or be fired. And then our entire government will be made up of crazy Putinists who are destroying America. So the Putinists are at work, doing everything they can to destroy Ukraine and the Western Alliance. Trump administration ends USAID program supporting Ukraine's power grid. Russian and US officials are discussing restoring embassy staff and direct flights between the United States and Russia. So for all you Russian sympathizers who are annoyed you have to have a connecting flight from Washington, D.C. to Moscow, Trump is going to bring back these international flights on stolen planes. Russia stole all of these planes that they're still flying. It gets worse. U.S. halts cyber operations against Russia. This is from The Record. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth last week ordered U.S. Cyber Command to stand down all planning against Russia, including offensive digital actions. Here is somebody, I'm guessing, within the US government who understands this better than me, sounding the alarm of how dangerous this is for America.
Hegseth just commanded cybersecurity to stop looking into cyber attacks relating to Russia, so that is both on offensive and defensive, meaning any sort of cyber attack that Russia would make to the United States government, we are not looking out for that, we are not looking into it. All of those operations have been suddenly halted, and we are not looking at any countermeasures as well as of this morning to respond against them or to make our own advances against Russia. Tim Horton has already alerted all of his subordinates of this directive.
U.S. Cyber Command has surrendered to Russia. The gates are open. Any cyber attacks that Russia wants to conduct on the United States, any espionage, any theft of digital materials, the doors are open. Russia can take whatever they want. The United States has surrendered to Russia. Elon Musk publicly supports call for the United States to withdraw from NATO and the United Nations. Elon Musk is the guy in charge. He's the president right now, and he's calling for America to withdraw from NATO and the United Nations. I don't think the United States will withdraw from the United Nations because there's really no downside to staying in. We have a veto power, which is nice. But yes, I do think Elon Musk and the Putinists in our government are going to push to have the United States withdraw from NATO. You can't do this without Congress voting on it. But crime in America is now legal, and Elon Musk and Donald Trump are just going to do whatever they want. They don't care. So I know for my international viewers, you want to see protesting, you want to see rioting, and it's starting. This is in front of a Tesla dealership in Tucson, Arizona, and these are people protesting Elon Musk and Donald Trump. So this is the Tesla dealership, and these are the protesters outside. People are just gathering at Tesla dealerships now to protest because Elon Musk is a Nazi. So yeah, I mean, if you still own a Tesla vehicle, you might want to get rid of it soon, because I think a lot of frustrated Americans are going to start committing acts of violence or vandalism against your cars. I don't support that, but this is what Elon Musk is doing, so I don't get it, guys. I just don't understand it. U.S. military support to Ukraine hangs in the balance after White House meeting. President Trump ordered a review of ongoing weapons deliveries to Ukraine after the heated Oval Office meeting. So the White House press secretary said that they were done, they stopped them, but I don't think that's actually true. I think they're still continuing, but Trump could make the announcement this week that he's halting all deliveries and cooperations between the United States military and really NATO partners in Europe who handle all the logistics to support Ukraine. NATO Secretary General calls for Zelensky to restore the relationship with Trump following the Oval Office clash. And it's possible. Donald Trump does this all the time with people. He attacks them and then becomes friends with them again. So Zelensky could repair this. I mean, maybe if Zelensky puts out a tweet saying that Donald Trump deserves a Nobel Peace Prize and he's the most handsome man who ever lived, then yes, maybe we could restore this relationship. But I still think this was inevitable. I still think the Putinists in our government have won, and the professionals are just going to surrender. And what happened on Friday, I think, was inevitable. I think Donald Trump was looking for an excuse to blame everything on Zelensky and cut him loose so that Trump can meet with Putin and sign an aluminum deal and talk about opening up new Arctic trading routes and maybe even dividing Greenland amongst each other. I wish these were jokes. So for the Allies, for the Europeans, we need you. Starmer embraces Zelensky in London, pledging support for as long as it takes after a disastrous Oval Office meeting. Here's what President Zelensky said after meeting with the Prime Minister of the UK. During our talks, we discussed the challenges facing Ukraine and all of Europe, coordination with partners, concrete steps to strengthen Ukraine's position, and ending the war with a just peace, along with robust security guarantees. I thank the people and government of the United Kingdom for their tremendous support from the very beginning of this war. We are happy to have such strategic partners and to share the same vision of what a secure future looks like for everyone. Going forward, here's the thoughts from Garry Kasparov. Time to shake off yesterday's White House debacle. Ukraine's defenders don't get to take a day off to talk about politics. Ukrainian civilians don't get a day off from Iranian drones and Russian missiles crashing into their houses and hospitals. Now more than ever, support Ukraine. Defending Ukraine from a Russian invasion is still in America's best interest, morally, economically, and for national security. The question is if Trump and Musk care about U.S. interests at all, or if personal fame, wealth, and power are their only concerns. If turning the state into a front for private power and oligarch looting sounds familiar, we lived it in Russia, and I don't recommend it for the United States. Trump's Putin fixation is bad. His Putinization is worse. Garry Kasparov then links his article in The Atlantic. This was the easiest win that Donald Trump was ever presented with. Increase sanctions, keep delivering weapons. Russia was going to break this year. Frontline reports Russian soldiers on crutches tried to cross the Oskil River, but Ukrainian drones struck them first. This is not isolated incidents. This is every day I'm seeing the pictures and videos of Russian soldiers on crutches being forced into meat assaults just to die. They have no hope of success. I think the Russians have accumulated so many handicapped people in the last 3 years, they don't want any more. So Putin has ordered all wounded soldiers to the front to just absorb some bullets. That's how little the Russian military or the Russian government cares about their soldiers. And here's another video. These videos come out almost every day, guys. Russian soldiers complain that over 150 people, including wounded and disabled men on crutches, are being sent to the front without medical assistance. Contracts are extended without consent, even for fathers of 7. Hospitalization is denied. They are branded traitors and then sent to their deaths. This video is from 2 days ago, February 28th. We are all gathered here. An investigation was supposed to take place. Without an investigation, without a court, all the disabled without medical help, there is no medical care. All the military medical commission were, according to them, were all healthy. Nevertheless, you see that we are standing with canes on crutches, barely holding on, and we are sent out to assault. Many were given directions to undergo a military medical commission, but we were not even admitted to the hospital. In the military unit, we are not needed by anyone. We are being told to F off. We were told that we are nothing, that we are traitors to the homeland. We agree to continue serving, but please, we ask for help, to be treated, to have surgeries. Many guys were supposed to be hospitalized today. I've had my second injury. I haven't received any payments. The 98th certificate was not issued. Because of what? Allegedly because of violating the regime, I was kicked out of the hospital and sent to Sochi. So I know I always just play the bad clips of what happens to the Russian military. So I'm going to play for you a clip that is supposed to be positive. This was being shared because they thought this was a good thing. So this is a Russian commander awarding a gift to a subordinate for his heroism and bravery. I don't want to spoil what the gift is. Let's watch the clip together.
Так, Арчибас, значит, что я тебе хочу сказать. 2-й батальон знает и чтит своих героев, которые работают, служат на благо Родины для всей нашей общей победы. И для облегчения твоего труда и признания твоих героических подвигов и заслуг получи от 2-го батальона новую техническую вещь, которая тебе, в принципе, поможет в дальнейшем несении службы. Заноси. Вот такая штука. Это чтобы ты ходил и двигался быстрее. Ключи уже у тебя. Ну, давай, запускай. И уехал вдаль. Пойдет.
For his heroism and bravery, his commander awarded him an electric scooter to go ride into battle on. This is the Russian military in 2025. So let's get to the good news for Ukraine. We do have some good news. The United Kingdom to provide $2.8 billion loan to Ukraine, backed by frozen Russian assets. Thank you to the Brits. Italy to provide Ukraine with $13 million to restore energy infrastructure. Thank you so much to Italy. This is funny. Norwegian fuel supplier refuses U.S. warships over Ukraine. The Norwegian fuel company Haltbach Bunkers has announced it will cease supplying fuel to U.S. military forces in Norway and American ships docking in Norwegian ports, citing dissatisfaction with recent U.S. policy towards Ukraine. More of this, please, to my Democratic friends and allies around the world. You need to stop the gears. You need to throw some sand and some sticks into the gears of the American military machine so that there's pushback, so that there's concern, so that Donald Trump and his minions have second thoughts about invading Canada and Greenland and Panama and then ethnically cleansing the Gaza Strip. So stand up to us. Tell us no. You can do that. 48% of voting Americans are on your side. I do want to mention this story. Here's why Chinese warships near Australia and New Zealand have prompted alarm. And China is conducting war game exercises off the coast of Australia. To my friends in Australia and New Zealand, we kind of forget about you sometimes. Anytime I say Europeans, I mean all the Democratic allies, including you fantastic people, but China wants your resources. China's going to take Taiwan first. They're probably going to topple the governments in the Philippines and Vietnam next. But eventually, China's going to make its way down to your continent because they want your uranium. They want your resources. You guys might want to get nukes soon because I don't think Donald Trump is going to help you or support you. I want to play for you this clip. This is Australia's Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, expressing his support for Ukraine because the people of Australia, you're not next, but you're on the list. If China, Russia, and the United States start militarily cooperating.
We stand with Ukraine. The people of Ukraine are fighting not just for their own national sovereignty. They are fighting for the international rule of law. We will continue to stand with Ukraine for as long as it takes, because this is the struggle of a democratic nation versus an authoritarian regime led by Vladimir Putin, who clearly has imperialistic designs not just on Ukraine, but throughout that region.
Thank you to the people of Australia. Last clip I want to share with you guys is from the guys at the 69th Sniffing Brigade. One of our 1,000 Days of War trucks that we fundraised for has seen some damage. It's taken some hits, but it's still running. So this Ukrainian defender wants to share with the channel how this truck number 56 is currently looking.
Hi Jake, my name's Dan. I'm from 47th Brigade, and today I have a chance to kind of show you how your car from last batches is doing. And today we are receiving additional trunk cover for our Toyota Hilux because I must show you some damages that were done to this car, because weather conditions in Russia are kind of harsh And yeah, this car survived FPVs, survived hard on collisions, and right now it is in kind of damaged state, but still kicking, still doing what it is supposed to be doing. Yes, for Ukraine, I would say. And yeah, thank you. Thanks to you and to your following.
That truck is bent but not broken. Like all of our support for Ukraine right now. Continue supporting Ukraine, Russia will still be defeated. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.